Thanks for downloading Ehnother Podcast from Ehnotherpodcast.com. Today's show can be found in many ways. iTunes, the Ehnotherpodcast.com webpage, and now can be found on Stitcher.com. You can now stream the latest show anywhere with the Stitcher app, on your computer, even on your boss's computer. Ehnother Podcast is now at your fingertips every day of the week and at your convenience. Enjoy today's episode of Warlock Wednesdays. Ehnotherpodcast.com. Not a sponsor. Hello and welcome to another Warlock Wednesdays. It is the Warlock Hour with Rayzor, and I've got a nice little show lined up for you today. We'll see how things go, but first, as always, we're going to get to the comic book releases for the week. So this Wednesday, your comic book releases are from DC Comics, Action Comics, Batwing, Detective Comics, and Green Arrow, all issues number 21, as well as Django Unchained, number 4 of a 7-part series. And I'm already messing up. It's just started the new show on my new hard drive. I just recently installed a hard drive on my computer, and so hopefully this show comes out well, because I don't know what I'm going to do if I don't have a computer. Anyways, carrying on to the Marvel releases for the week. Age of Ultron number 9 of the 10-part miniseries, so that's wrapping up shortly. All New X-Men number 12. Daredevil End of Days number 8, finishing off that miniseries. It's 8 of 8. Superior Spider-Man number 11, and Thanos Rising number 3 of a 5-part miniseries. From the independents this week, I couldn't find too many things that sounded too interesting, so there's just 2. Both of them are from Dynamite Entertainment, Black Bat number 2, and Miss Fury number 3. So that does it for your comic book releases for this week. Another small week, mostly for the independents this week. However, the big ones didn't have that many coming out, although I will be picking up 4 out of the 5 Marvel ones myself. So I'm looking forward to that, although my pickups are going to have to wait till Friday this week. Need some cash, need some ching-ching to get that comic book bling. That made absolutely no sense, don't know why I said it. Maybe we'll never say that again. Alright. Moving on to some movie news. We are going to get to your box office results from this past weekend, and we have a bit of a flop. Well, we'll let you be the judge. I personally think it's a flop, but number 1 this week still is Fast and the Furious. I'm just going to get to the weekend ones. I was on the wrong page. Yes, so number 1 this week, again, Fast and the Furious, bringing in another $35.1 million. Number 2 this week, bringing in $29.3 million, was the new film Now You See Me. And number 3 this week, now it is number 3, and it did make $27.5 million. However, this movie cost, without knowing the marketing numbers, the movie cost $130 million to make and only made $27.5 million, and that is the new movie After Earth with Will and Jaden Smith. So this movie's kind of bombing pretty badly. Now You See Me beat it, just to give you an indication of how this summer sci-fi Will Smith movie did. It actually got beat by a comedy ensemble cast, which rarely happens, but Fast and Furious still holding strong number 1, Now You See Me number 2, After Earth number 3. Sliding into the 4th spot this week, Star Trek Into Darkness bringing in another $16.7 million. Epic drops to the 5th spot with $16.6 million. The Hangover Part 3 drops 4 spots from 2 to 6 with $16.3 million, so its second week did not do as well as its first week. Iron Man 3 falls to the 7th slot with another $8.4 million, bringing its domestic total up to over $385 million, and if I just take a quick look at its overall total worldwide, we got $1,181,000,000 from Iron Man 3 so far. Falling to 8th place, The Great Gatsby, $6.5 million. A movie that I can't pronounce. I will try my best. Yay, Jawani Hai Dawani. I have no idea what it is. I'm not even looking it up because I don't care. Sorry, but I don't. It's 1.5 million though, was good enough for 9th spot. And rounding out the top 10 this week, Mud, $1.2 million. So that's your top 10 movies from this past weekend. And let's look ahead to this weekend's new releases, and there are 2 of them. That being The Internship, which reunites the duo of Owen Wilson and Vince Vaughn from Wedding Crashers, and puts them working at an internship at Google. Also, The Purge opens this week, and this movie's premise is basically one night, or for 12 hours, nothing is illegal. You can do whatever you want for 12 hours and suffer no repercussions whatsoever. So, I was thinking about this, and a question was posed on a forum. What would you do for the purge? Well, for me personally, I would purge some unwanted, quote-unquote, celebrities. That's right, I would get rid of Justin Bieber, the Kardashians, and the entire cast of the Jersey Shore. I might need some help with that, and I'm sure I could find it. Because let's face it, these people have no talent, yet they're famous. So, that's what we could do with The Purge. However, that movie does open this week, and should be an interesting weekend. I think Fast 6 could still remain on top. I mean, you never know. Internship is a comedy that is very strong, has a very good cast. Wedding Crashers did very good. So, you know what? Actually, I'm going to say Internship might bump Fast and Furious down. Since Fast and Furious will be entering its 3rd week, it probably won't make as much. So, Internship is my prediction for the number 1 movie next weekend. Guess we'll find out next Wednesday whether I'm right or not. So, let's move right into some movie news. Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg will be coming out with a movie in 2 weeks, not this weekend, but the following weekend, called This Is the End. Well, they are now also working on a script for a movie called Sellout. And this story follows Rich's fictional adventures with his great-great-grandfather who persevered for a century in pickle brine, explores the bizarre world that is present-day Brooklyn. So it's a comedy again. No word whether Rogen is actually planning to star in it, but he and Goldberg will be joined by producers Rich, the guy who wrote the novella, Simon Rich, and James Weaver, and they will be producing it, and Seth and Evan will be writing it. So we'll have to wait and see whether more announcements come along, whether he's going to star in it. Arnold Schwarzenegger update. He talks Terminator 5, which is being written right now. There are 3 projects being written right now, apparently involving him. He says one is Terminator 5, the other is a Conan movie that Universal is doing, and then there's the sequel to Twins, which will be called Triplets. And as we all know from previous reports, Eddie Murphy is going to be the 3rd triplet, so we're going to have to wait and see how that goes. The Conan movie is supposed to be The Legend of Conan. It is supposed to be a direct sequel to the 1984 movie Conan the Barbarian, and will ignore the events of Conan the Destroyer and, of course, the new 2011 reboot Conan the Barbarian. So this is supposed to be a direct sequel to the Conan the Barbarian that Arnold Schwarzenegger did back in 1984, and it will be called The Legend of Conan. WWE stars will be lending their voices to an animated film project. That film project? A feature-length Flintstones project. Apparently the script calls for the Flintstones to go see a wrestling match, and in them, some of the voices that are going to be portrayed are John Cena Stone, obviously portrayed by John Cena, Vince McMahon, and CM Punk Rock. And I don't think I have to even go where that one needs to go. CM Punk, of course, will be voicing that one. Warner Brothers and WWE have been working together. They did a project with Scooby-Doo. Now they're doing a project with the Flintstones, so this should be interesting. Not sure if it's going to get a theatrical release, but they are looking like they are going to get a definite worldwide distribution on Blu-ray, DVD, video on demand, and digital download. So that's something interesting. All right. There's going to be 2 directors of the next Pirates movie. They are known as the Kon-Tiki pairing. They are Joachim Ronning and Espen Zandberg. They will be helming Pirates of the Caribbean 5. No word on what the subtitle is going to be. The script is going to be done by Jeff Nathanson. So this is definitely different direction for Pirates of the Caribbean, which is slated to come out July 15th, 2015. As we know, Gore Verbinski and Ted Elliott, and I can't remember the other, something Rosario were the writers before. I think it was Will Rosario, but I think that might be wrong. But definitely a different direction for the new Pirates of the Caribbean movie. Johnny Depp is supposed to be back, so I mean there is that. We'll just have to wait and see where things go from here. Alright, 3 cast announcements for Guardians of the Galaxy. The first one, Academy Award winner Glenn Close will be joining the cast of Guardians of the Galaxy. She will be playing the leader of the Nova Corps. She will be a leading member of the Intergalactic Nova Corps in this movie. That's interesting in and of itself. A second Academy Award winner also added to the Guardians of the Galaxy. No word on who he's going to play, but the actor's name is Benicio del Toro, who of course won his Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor in Traffic back in 2000. He's also appeared in such movies as Sin City, 21 Grams, also in the 2-part film Che, based on Che Guevara. I'm probably saying that wrong. No word on who he will play. Rumors are he has signed a multi-picture deal with Marvel Studios. So perhaps, slightly, a rumor has started that he may be Thanos. Not sure if I exactly agree. I mean, Benicio del Toro, from the movies I've seen, doesn't have very clear speaking voice. And I'm not sure if I want Thanos to be all mumbly and jumbly like this, and then you can barely understand him. If his English has improved since the last time I've seen him, great. However, I'm not sure where this goes. Now, I saved the best for last. She's not an Academy Award winner, but she is a Doctor Who heartthrob. Her name is Karen Gillan, and she will be joining the cast of Guardians of the Galaxy as a villain. She is supposed to be playing a lead female villain in the story. No word on who, but she was going to be playing a lead female villain in the story and has joined the cast of Guardians of the Galaxy. She's a brilliant actress on Doctor Who. Whenever they replace actors and actresses, especially the Doctor or the companions, it's always interesting to see how the dynamic changes. She definitely brought a different dynamic to the companion role. I loved her from the moment she stepped on the screen, and I was sad to see her go when she left late last year, when her series of stories ended as the pawns left the show. So Karen Gillan is heading to Hollywood, folks, because, well, actually not very far, because I believe Guardians of the Galaxy is going to be filmed across the pond. I'm not entirely sure where they're filming, but I thought it might be across the pond, but that might be Ant-Man. Anyways, she is joining Guardians of the Galaxy, and for me, as a Doctor Who fan, as a Whovian, as they might say, this was the biggest news of the 3 casting announcements, which is why I saved the best for last. Moving on, Joss Whedon talks a little bit about Quicksilver, Firefly, and Batman. First of all, on continuing the Firefly universe, he had this to say. Right now, I'm happy to say everybody is doing good jobs. There's a real fear of the monkey's paw. You know, you bring it back to life and it isn't the same. Even if it's great, and it isn't the same. I'm dying to get on a ship with those guys again, but I'm also doing yet another goddamn huge ensemble movie. Why can't I do a movie just about one guy? So right now, I can't even access that part of my brain. If all the planets align, that would be great, but I'm not going to do what I did the first time and move heaven and earth to make it happen. You also have to remember he's doing the TV show for ABC, Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. He's very locked into the Marvel Universe right now, especially the Phase 2 era. That is pretty much going to be all overseen by Joss. So he's really busy. Then you take into account the actors from Firefly. They all have things going on right now, especially the lead actor, Nathan Fillion, has a great show going on right now with ABC called Castle. So, I mean, it's very tough. On what he'd like to conquer next in film or television, he goes, probably not film or television. There's a ballet I'd like to do. The 3 people who go see it will love it. I can't really play any music, and I want to do a full-length musical. There are books I want to write. So many things I'm excited about. There are movies, obviously, more TV shows. I still haven't written enough spaceship movies. I can't get enough spaceships. He was asked about doing a video game movie. I've been approached a few times and gone down the path a little, but it's never amounted to anything. I still don't understand why they never made a Firefly game, because it lends itself to a massive multiplayer thingy with many M's. I don't know what it's called. I'm old. Look at me, for God's sake. I have reading glasses. But at first, I wasn't interested in video games because there really was no narrative, no character, no decision making. It was just bang bang, and that's really changed. It's become more and more interesting and more a form of storytelling that a lot of people are gravitating towards. Problem is, I don't play them. There's video games, there's a career, there's a family. Pick 2. I never got the handle of them. As my nephews found out when they tried to play Gears of War with me, and suddenly I wasn't the cool uncle because I kept shooting them by accident. On any Marvel character he wishes he could do. On any other, I just said that wrong. On any other Marvel character he wishes he could get his hands on, like work around. He said, basically, if I could get my hands on absolutely anybody, it would be Batman. He's a Marvel character in the DC universe, and if I could do any, it probably would be Thor, because face it, those arms. And then he was asked about Quicksilver. Quicksilver, as we know, was announced by Bryan Singer to be in X-Men Days of Future Past, and he asked, will that affect his inclusion in the Avengers 2? And so continues the Q and not A. That's not something I can really talk about, he says, but Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch are going to be in the movie, and they're going to be awesome. Now, this all was taking place while he was promoting his newest movie, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention it, and it's called Much Ado About Nothing. It's a modern dress adaptation of a William Shakespeare play, and I hope my theater carries it because I want to see it. Joss Whedon is an excellent writer. I've loved a lot of his stuff, and that's what he's got working on right now. Obviously, he's working on the Avengers 2, and he's working on Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Like I said, he's overseeing the entire Phase 2 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Okay, so let's leave Joss Whedon for a little while and go to another casting announcement. The Equalizer. As I said, I'm very leery on this with Denzel Washington playing the actor that I know so well from watching it in my youth. However, adding to the cast from Kevin Smith's Red State, Melissa Leo. Melissa Leo will be in The Equalizer, and not sure who she's going to be playing. They just casted her as... doesn't say at all who she's going to be playing, but she has been cast alongside Denzel Washington for The Equalizer. Alright, Bad Santa 2 news. Apparently, Doug Ellen will rewrite the script for Bad Santa 2, and he will also be possibly directing it. The movie is said to still bring back Billy Bob Thornton, No word on if anybody else would be coming back. As I said, the script's being rewritten. He is best known for creating the HBO series Entourage, so we'll have to see how Bad Santa 2 goes. They're targeting this fall for production to begin, so you'd have to write it fast. Alright, Chris Columbus. Some of you might know this name, might recognize this name. He has done many things, not the least of which is Home Alone, Mrs. Doubtfire, Percy Jackson and the Olympians, and, of course, the first 2 films of the Harry Potter franchise. Well, now he's eyeing something that's been in development at Sony Pictures for some time. It's inspired by a short called Pixels. I'm going to post the short in the description below so you can watch it and see where he's getting this from. And it's going to be a full-length feature film on Pixels. The short film, which I said I'm going to post below, became a viral hit with its 1980s video game characters attacking New York City. It was previously said that the plan was to make a Ghostbuster-style action comedy in which characters come out of a video game to wreak havoc in the world. However, this could change with the onboardedness of Chris Columbus. The production company is Happy Madison, which is Adam Sandler's production company. The screenplay is being written by Tim Harley and Tim Dowling, and we'll have to see where it goes. But after watching the short, I am very interested to see where this goes. So, as I said, you can check it out below in the description and see for yourself where things are going. Alright, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle news. One quote I want to read. A huge interview with Kevin Eastman, who we know is one of the co-creators of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Peter Laird has adamantly said that he does not like what's being done with the Turtles thing that he's seen. Now, he's not involved, so he's getting an outside look like we are, and I haven't been impressed either, so I'm with Peter Laird a little bit more. Kevin Eastman is working with Michael Bay and Jonathan Liebesman. Liebesman is directing. This is something people confuse. They hear the term Michael Bay, they automatically assume he's directing the film. He's not directing the film. It's being done by Anchor Bay Productions, which is his production company. He is a producer on the film. He doesn't have a lot of say in what's going on. The director, Jonathan Liebesman, and the writers, who I forget at the moment, they're the ones that are basically deciding where things go. Well, anyways, here's the quote by Kevin Eastman. He's referring to Michael Bay. He's been nothing but amazingly respectful, and Jonathan Liebesman been the director. I've seen the script. I've seen the design of the characters. It's fantastic. The story has all the right turtleisms. They're in the sewers. I'm very excited to see the movie. And this was a huge Q&A, as I said. But one of the final things he said before he left was, the Ninja Turtles are not aliens. They are mutants. They are their classical mutated selves. So take what you will from that. They're not aliens. That, to me, right there is a huge step in the right direction. So I'll have to wait and see. I'm waiting for a trailer. I'm going to wait for a trailer. And finally, in movie casting news, or uncasting news as it might be, Will Smith is apparently not interested in Men in Black 4. However, this interview was given before the numbers of After Earth came out, so he might change his mind. But he's not a sequel fan. He did 2 sequels in a row back in the early 2000s. Men in Black 2 came out in 2002 and Bad Boys 2 came out in 2003. He said he's not a sequel guy. I think 3 is enough for me. 3 of anything is enough for me. We'll look at it and we'll consider it, but it feels like it might be time to let someone else do that. He's suggesting that maybe it's time for a younger cast to come in if they're doing a Men in Black 4. However, like I said, after seeing what happened with After Earth, it's quite possible that there may be some wiggle room to get him in, but I don't know. The other thing that was mentioned was he's not doing I Am Legend 2, and he's apparently not going to be involved in the Independence Day sequels, which are being worked on as we speak. So we'll have to wait and see where things go from there. Okay, so moving on with other entertainment news. Sad news. Now, it's contradictory to what I reported a week or two ago. However, Matt Smith will be leaving Doctor Who. He is going to be doing the 50th anniversary special, and then he will be doing the Christmas special, at which time he will be done. I'm going to read something in just a minute, but I'm a little disappointed because I was expecting him to be back for one more season at least. But apparently we will have a new Doctor when Series 8 begins its run. However, I don't know if it's good or bad. The Pawns left. We just got Souffle Girl, as she's known, or Clara. So I'm not sure what I feel like, whether Clara's going to come back and we're going to have a new Doctor with Clara, or whether we're going to get a whole new Doctor companion thing as we did when Matt Smith took over. So here's what Matt Smith said to the fans. Doctor Who has been the most brilliant experience for me as an actor and a bloke, and that largely is down to the cast, crew, and fans of the show. I'm incredibly grateful to all the cast and crew who work tirelessly every day to realize all the elements of the show and deliver Doctor Who to the audience. Many of them become good friends, and I'm incredibly proud of what we have achieved over the last 4 years. Having Stephen Moffat as a showrunner write such varied, funny, mind-bending, and brilliant scripts has been one of the greatest and most rewarding challenges of my career. It's been a privilege and a treat to work with Stephen. He's a good friend and will continue to shape a brilliant world for the Doctor. The fans of Doctor Who around the world are unlike any other. They dress up, shout louder, know more about the history of the show, and speculate more about the future of the show in a way that I've never seen before. Your dedication is truly remarkable. Thank you so very much for supporting my incarnation of the Time Lord number 11, who I might add is not done yet. I'm back for the 50th anniversary and the Christmas special. It's been an honor to play this part, to follow the legacy of brilliant actors, and helm the TARDIS for a spell with the Ginger, the Nose, and the Impossible One. But when you gotta go, and Trenzalore calls. Thank you guys, Matt. So, that right there says to me that this was not an impromptu decision. This was something that he's been planning for a bit. It's just sad because I mean, especially when it was announced that he was going to be back for an 8th series, and now we are sitting here and we are speculating as to who might be the next Doctor. One thing is for certain, it still has to be a Brit, some kind of like UK Irish man. Well, I'm not even going to say Irishman because it could be an Irish woman. That's the other thing. Is it time for a female Doctor? It would change the dynamic so much. You can't say, hi, I'm John Smith. I don't think they will go that route, but is it time for one? We've seen 11 incarnations of the Doctor, all have been male. Can we change the dynamic by getting a female in there? But I still think it needs to be, like somebody from the UK or Ireland. Maybe a far stretch Australian, but I don't think you want to go there. It still has to be that. You cannot have an American playing the Doctor. That is the one thing that Stephen Moffat better stay away from. As the showrunner, I haven't liked him. I mean, Matt's not going to say anything bad about him, obviously. He gave him a job. He gave him a career, 4 years playing the Doctor. But I've not liked Stephen Moffat as a showrunner. He was a brilliant writer. He did very well writing episodes for Davies, but I don't like him as a showrunner, and that's always going to be there for as long as he's running the show. So I'm not sure where things go after the Christmas special. We're not even sure how good the 50th anniversary is. Like, I love the fact that they're bringing David Tennant back, because David Tennant is my favorite Doctor. By far, bar none, he is my favorite Doctor of all time. So I don't know what's going to happen, but we're just going to have to wait and see. A lot of things are wait and see. I'm learning that being in a long-distance relationship. A lot of things are wait and see. You have to wait and see how things are going to pan out, because you just don't know. Again, the 50th anniversary special, maybe they're playing a lot of hide and seek or misdirection or what have you, and there's going to be more to it. But right now, I love the fact that they're bringing back David Tennant and Billie Piper as Rose, but the thing is, I think it's such a huge thing. You need more. We know there's a story to tell. We saw that with the season finale, but I still think you need more, and I hope they're just using a lot of misdirection right now because I really want to see more. So let's move on. We're going to leave the Doctor Who universe for a while, for this week anyways. A little bit of gaming news. The Deadpool game comes out in June, we are in June. Comes out at the end of this month, June 25th, and Wolverine will be in it. I'm saying this because Wolverine is my favorite character. Also, Wolverine and Deadpool, both Canadian. This is a Canadian podcast. Love the show. Love the fact that, love the show. I love the comics, I should say. I love the fact that they're Canadian. I'm really looking forward to seeing this game in action. And, so Wolverine in the Deadpool game. Now, let's get to some weird or offbeat news, not normal entertainment news, and that is Justin Bieber. God, I hate Justin Bieber. Okay, so in the past, I have said that Justin Bieber has done some ridiculous things. First of all, he spit on a man for telling him to slow down in a gated neighborhood in Los Angeles where he lives. He told him off. He spit on him. He flipped him off. He was rude, inconsiderate little prick. He then got a young monkey given to him, or however he got it, brought it to Germany, didn't have the proper papers, left it with the German officials, and left it there. Like, literally left it there for over a month. This poor monkey was in a German... well, I'm not going to say what I was thinking, but he was in, like, not a prison, but pretty much he was. He was in a German holding facility, quarantine facility, and sat there for a month. Well, now that monkey is property of Germany and is being taken to a primate reserve. I couldn't think of the name. And now he insults Canada again. Keyshawn Johnson, a former NFL star, saw Bieber speeding once again in their gated community in California. And apparently this has been a recurring problem, as I said. He's been talked to before and is in a court case actually with the other gentleman. Johnson dropped his son off at home and went over to Bieber's house, but the 19-year-old refused to come out and speak to the former NFL receiver, prompting a furious Johnson to call the police. Johnson was never known as a model citizen during his pro career, but he was not the only NFL player to have an issue with Bieber, as Hall of Fame running back Eric Dickerson tweeted out his disdain for the Stratford, Ontario native on Monday, saying, "I live in Calabasas too, and Justin Bieber needs to slow his ass down. Hey, Justin Bieber, I used to have a white Ferrari too, but I know the speed limit in the neighborhoods where kids play." So, apparently, Justin Bieber has a speed fetish, and somebody needs to smack this kid upside the head. It makes me sad to be a Canadian because of this douchebag always pulling crap like this. This is, like, absolutely stupid, insane, and reckless. This kid needs to be put in jail, his license taken away, something. Because you know what? He thinks because he's a rich, talentless son of a bitch that he can do this. You can't do this. Something needs to be done, and it's getting tiring, which is why he would be on my list of people to purge. And with that disdain out of the way, let's get to something a little bit more sweeter and better and showing the best side of celebrity, and that's Patrick Stewart. Patrick Stewart's work against domestic violence is a personal one for not only him, but for one Star Trek fan in particular. At a Comic Palooza in Houston last weekend, in Houston, Texas, there was a woman dressed in a Jadzia Dax costume who was at this convention who asked a question. Now, I'm going to post the full video down below, okay? It's heartwarming, it's wonderful. Now, he was asked a question that was, what besides acting are you most proud of? And he went on to say, the work that I do for Refuge, which provides safe houses for victims of abuse and combat stress, houses for victims of abuse, and also combat stress, which is a place that helps soldiers afflicted by post-traumatic stress disorder. Stewart explained that his father was undiagnosed with PTSD. Then it was known as shell shock, because this was like after World War II. And because it was dismissed as shell shock, or because it was known as shell shock, they dismissed it and didn't do anything. Well, his father was abusive towards his mother. And so he goes, I work for Refuge for my mother, and I work for combat stress for my father in equal measure. Now, in this video, and I guarantee you need to watch it, there's a point at the end where he gives her a hug, and he whispers something in her ear. Now, you can't hear it on the tape because the crowd's cheering. It's such a heart-touching moment. But she posted on her account that her Tumblr account, which I'm not going to link because I want to respect it. You can look it up from the video if you want. However, he said, you never have to go through that again. You're safe now. She went on to say, I couldn't stop thanking him. His embrace was so warm and genuine. It was two people, two strangers, supporting and giving love. And when he pulled away, he looked straight in my eyes like he was promising that she was safe and never had to go through that again. He told me to take care, and I will. It's just so fantastic when you hear a celebrity like do something like that. Like, it was, he did not have to hug this person. He did not have to do anything like that. But because it's personal for him and personal for this woman who at one time in her life was abused, was in an abusive relationship. I mean, it's just so heartwarming. And I please watch the video in the description below because it is so worth it. Alright, so that this week is the end of the entertainment news. So I'm going to break it off right here, and we're going to get a little message from our friend Rob Cicchetto.
Hi, I'm Rob Cicchetto, and you're listening to Ehnotherpodcast.com. Hi, I'm Rob Cicchetto, creator of Zombie Portraits. You can check out Zombie Portraits at zombieportraits.com.
So thank you to Rob Cicchetto, and of course, as always, you can check out zombieportraits.com for his work. So our last segment, as always, is sports. I leave it till the end because I know not as many nerds like myself and geeks are into sports, but I am. It's something that I've always enjoyed. I love hockey, football, baseball, soccer, or as those across the pond might call it, the real football, or just football for them. Our football is American football, they call it. Anyway, those are the sports that I kind of follow good. I also like to follow the Olympics and a few other things, but to narrow things down to just sports is, or, nerd or geekdom is just wrong, I think. Like, I mean, the reason I bring this up is because this year I'm going to attend the biggest expo called Fan Expo in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. It's called Fan Expo Canada, and basically what it is, it's like Comic-Con in San Diego. It's the biggest one in Northern Ontario, or in north of the US, you might say. Like, it's the northern version of Comic-Con. It's huge, it's big, and this year they added a sports section. Now, a lot of the geeks and nerds I don't know what they're complaining about. It's in a different section of the convention center, but they're complaining because the prices did go up a bit. There was an extra $10 on tickets of the usual increase in prices that happens every year. But they're also complaining that there's going to be different kinds of people there, and you know what? They're doing to the quote-unquote jocks what jocks, quote unquote, used to do to geeks and nerds, and that's bullying them. You can't do that. You know what? You can be a fan of both. I'm a fan of both. I love geeks. I love nerd things. I watch a lot of fantasy. I watch a lot of sci-fi. But I also watch hockey, and I watch football, and I watch baseball. I'm not limited in what I can do. And the fact that some of the people want to go out there and complain is just wrong. But I do save the sports section to the end of the podcast because I know a lot more people are going to listen to the first part and not so much listen to the second part. But you know what? I'm doing it because I'm doing it for me as well as you. And it's got to be something I like. Otherwise, I'm not going to enjoy doing it. So I'm always going to have sports, but I do keep it to the end. I do have some, knowledge of who's listening to my podcast. But here is the sports for this week. We're going to start with the NHL playoffs. We are into the third round, the conference finals, the East and Western Conference finals. Both teams have played 2 games each in their series, and there's a 2-0 series lead for a team in each series. So we have in the West, the Chicago Blackhawks number 1 ranked team versus the number 5 ranked Los Angeles Kings. In that series, Chicago has played 2 home games, and they are up 2-0 after those 2 games. Very close game in the first game with a 2-1 score, and then a little bit more of a gap with a 4-2 score in the second game that gave them a 2-0 series lead. Over in the Eastern Conference, the Pittsburgh Penguins, number 1 ranked team, number 1 seeded team, taking on the number 4 seed, the Boston Bruins. In this series, Pittsburgh hosted the first 2 games and lost both those games. They lost both their home games and now have to travel to Boston. Actually, by Wednesday night, both series will have played 3 games. The Los Angeles Kings will have played Game 3 in Los Angeles, and my prediction is they are going to win that game and make it a 2-1 series lead. As I said at the beginning when I made my predictions there in that special last week, that this was going to be a homer series, that it's going to go 7 games, Chicago's going to win at home, LA is going to win at home, Chicago's going to win the final game at home in Game 7. Now, I'd said basically the same thing for Boston, but I would say Boston was going to win in 7. They're going to win that last game in Pittsburgh. Now, they've already won 2 in Pittsburgh. They have 2 home games coming up now. And on Wednesday night, the night you'll be listening to this podcast, they will have a good chance to go up 3-0, having the first game in Boston, and they dominated Pittsburgh in those games. They shut them out 3-0 in the first game, and then I think the final score in Game 2 was 5-1 or something like that. It was like mind-bogglingly awesome because I hate the Pittsburgh Penguins, and more importantly, I hate Sidney Crosby. I can't stand him. I don't want him to win another cup. I don't want him to die like I do with Justin Bieber, but I do want him to get hurt where he has to retire. So Boston beating up on the Penguins is amazing. I love it, and looking forward to the rest of the series. Okay, so let's get into some statistics. Your points leader is David Krejci of the Boston Bruins with 20. He is also tied for the goals lead with Patrick Sharp of the Chicago Blackhawks. Both those players have 8 goals. Chris Letang is your leader in assists. He has 13. And your plus-minus leader is Nathan Horton at a plus 19. In fact, 4 of the top 5 guys are all Boston Bruins fans. They're scoring a lot and not giving up a lot of goals. Your goaltending leaders. Goals against average is Corey Crawford of the Chicago Blackhawks with a 1.67 goals against average. Save percentage, though, goes to Jonathan Quick of the LA Kings at a 940 save percentage. Wins right now, tied with Corey Crawford and Tuukka Rask, each with 10 wins apiece. And your shutout leader is Jonathan Quick of the Los Angeles Kings with 3. So those are your statistics. One final note before I move on to baseball. NHL and the NHLPA have agreed to make visors mandatory. Every player playing now, as long as they've played 26 games of NHL experience, will not have to wear a visor moving forward. It's their choice. However, starting this coming season, every single player, well, I guess next season, like the 2013-2014 season, starting that season, every single player will have to wear a visor. Visors will be mandatory, so going forward, visors will be a mandatory part of the equipment, and thank goodness for that. Too many eye injuries happening, and, I think this is a good decision by both the NHL and the NHLPA. Also, the competition committee have approved to try out for the preseason the hybrid icing and to institute a shallower net. So we'll have to see what happens there. That's going to be a preseason trial, but mandating visors was huge, and I'm glad it's done. Let's move on to baseball. Let's go take a look at the American League standings. Your AL East leading Boston Red Sox, 35-23. In the West, 35-21 are the Texas Rangers, and in the Central, it's 30-25 Detroit Tigers. Your wildcard leaders, we actually have a three-way tie right now. The Oakland Athletics holding on to the number one wildcard seed with a 35-24 record, and tied for the number two wildcard seed right now are the Baltimore Orioles and the New York Yankees, both with a 32-25 record. Moving over to the National League. Your National League division leaders are the St. Louis Cardinals in the Central with a 38-19 record. The Atlanta Braves still holding tight in the East with a 35-22 record. And the Arizona Diamondbacks holding that NL West title right now with a 32-25 record. Your wild card leaders, the Cincinnati Reds, 36-22, and the Pittsburgh Pirates, 35-23. Have them in the second wild card spot. So those are your standings. Let's get to some statistics. As always, I'm going to do the three that we've been doing the past few weeks. Your home run leaders. Chris Davis of the Baltimore Orioles smacked another 4 home runs this week. That's 2 weeks in a row to have a 20 home run total. Dominic Brown of the Phillies hit 5 home runs this week to jump into the number 2 spot with 17 home runs. Tied with 17 home runs is Miguel Cabrera of the Tigers. Edwin Encarnacion of the Jays has 16 home runs. And then Justin Upton of the Braves, Robinson Cano of the Yankees, and Carlos Gonzalez of the Rockies, each with 14 home runs. Those are your top, I guess your top 7, really, but your top 5. RBIs, your leaders, your top 5 are, in this case there's a 6. Miguel Cabrera of the Tigers has 65 RBIs. Chris Davis of the Orioles has 52 RBIs. Edwin Encarnacion of the Jays and Paul Goldschmidt of the Diamondbacks, each with 47 RBIs. And then Brandon Phillips of the Reds and Mike Napoli of the Red Sox each have 45 RBIs. Your stolen bases leader, Everett Cabrera of the Padres, with 23 stolen bases, leads the way. Jacoby Ellsbury of the Red Sox with 21. Nate McLouth of the Orioles has 19. And then John Segura of the Brewers and Starling Marte of the Pirates, each with 15 stolen bases. Moving on to the pitching statistics, this one weird. Patrick Corbin of the Diamondbacks has 9 wins, and then we have a 6-way tie for second. Matt Moore of the Rays, Clay Buchholz of the Red Sox, Jordan Zimmerman of the Nationals, Lance Lynn of the Cardinals, Justin Masterson of the Indians, and Adam Wainwright also of the Cardinals, all with 8 wins. Those are your pitching wins. Your strikeout leaders this week, 6 for your top 5. Yu Darvish of the Rangers, 111 strikeouts. AJ Burnett of the Pirates has 94. Jay Zamardzia, I'm never going to say that guy's name right, of the Cubs has 91. Max Scherzer of the Tigers also has 91. And then Matt Harvey of the Mets and Anibal Sanchez of the Tigers, each with 89. Your saves leaders, and in this case we have 7 of them, because we have a 4-way tie for that last spot. Jason Grilli of the Pirates, 22 saves, and I just want to note that he's 22 for 22 this year, so he's had 22 save opportunities and saved every single game. Mariano Rivera of the Yankees has 20 saves. Jim Johnson of the Orioles has 18, and Craig Kimbrell of the Braves, Addison Reed of the White Sox, Joe Nathan of the Rangers, and Edward Majika of the Cardinals, each with 17 saves. Again, another name I'm never probably going to pronounce properly. I'm sorry that I don't have the phonetic versions of these names so that I can get them done properly, but there you have it. That's your NHL and your baseball, and that's it for sports, which means that's it for this week's show. I hope you enjoyed the show. A little bit shorter than normal, but you know what? Under an hour is never that bad. So, I hope you come back next week. Listen to the Warlock Hour every week. You can listen to all the podcasts on Ehnotherpodcast.com. You can listen to it on the website, Ehnotherpodcast.com. That's EHNOTHER podcast.com. You can also find us on iTunes, and don't forget our newest location, Stitcher.com. So, for everyone here at the Ehnother Podcast Network, this has been my 26th episode, my half a year of doing podcasts. I hope you've enjoyed them so far. I hope you enjoy them in the future. Have a good day, evening, night, wherever you are. This is it for Rayzor. I'm out. Thanks for listening to Ehnother Podcast from Ehnotherpodcast.com. Don't forget to go on iTunes and or download right from Ehnotherpodcast.com. That's EHNOTHER podcast.com. Follow us on Twitter at Ehnother Podcast. Be sure to check back for tomorrow's show only on Ehnother Podcast, your Canadian podcast network. Ehnotherpodcast.com. Not a sponsor.